The first-class cabin of Horizon Airways Flight 718 hummed with the quiet anticipation of departure. Angela Carter, a black woman in a sharp navy blazer, sat in seat 1A, her tablet glowing with spreadsheets. Her poised demeanor and tailored outfit spoke of authority, but the flight crew seemed oblivious to who she was. A blonde flight attendant, badge-reading Sarah, approached with a forced smile. "Ma'am, I need to see your boarding pass," Sarah said, her voice low but carrying to nearby passengers. Angela looked up calmly, retrieving the pass from her leather bag. "Here it is, seat 1A, correct?" Sarah took the pass, her eyes scanning it as if searching for a flaw. "There might be a mix-up. Our first-class section has certain standards. Are you sure this is your seat?" Angela's smile was polite but steely. "I'm quite sure. Your system confirmed it at check-in." Sarah's expression hardened. "I'll need to call security to verify. To avoid disturbing others, you should move to another seat." Murmurs rippled through the cabin. A white man in a gray suit in seat 1B muttered, "I paid thousands for a quiet flight." Several passengers pulled out phones, recording discreetly. Angela remained composed, her fingers tapping lightly on her tablet, as if noting the exchange. Minutes later, two security officers in Navy uniforms strode into the cabin. "Ma'am," the taller one, badge-reading Mike, said sternly, "you need to come with us now." "I have a right to this seat," Angela replied, her voice clear and unwavering. "If there's an issue, show me evidence." "Don't make this difficult," Mike snapped, grabbing her arm to pull her up. The cabin fell silent, save for the faint clicks of phone cameras. Angela didn't resist, but her eyes locked onto Sarah's smug expression and the indifferent glance of the man in 1B. As they dragged her down the aisle, past shocked passengers, Mike leaned in, his voice a harsh whisper. "First class isn't for just anyone." The words cut like a blade, but Angela stayed silent, her head held high, heels clicking against the floor. Phones continued recording, capturing every moment. This wasn't just a minor dispute on Horizon Airways Flight 718. It was the spark of a firestorm that would engulf a corporation, shatter reputations, and erase billions in value. Angela Carter was no ordinary passenger. She held the power to reshape Horizon Airways' future with a single phone call. And today, they had chosen the wrong person to humiliate. The scene unfolded like a modern tragedy, witnessed by dozens, recorded by many, and destined to spread far beyond the confines of the aircraft. As Angela was escorted out, the weight of what was coming settled over her like a quiet storm. Horizon Airways had no idea the cost of their actions, but they would soon learn. Have you ever been judged based on your appearance or background? Share your story in the comments, or let us know your thoughts. Stay tuned to see how Horizon Airways pays the price for their mistake. Angela Carter wasn't born with a silver spoon. At 45, she stood as a monument to grit and ambition, a black woman who had clawed her way from a modest Chicago neighborhood to the pinnacle of corporate America. As the founder and CEO of Pinnacle Travel Solutions, Angela controlled a global empire that dictated how Fortune 500 companies moved their executives across continents. Her decisions could elevate an airline to new heights or send it spiraling into oblivion. On this crisp April morning in 2025, she was poised to make one such decision: a $4.8 billion contract with Horizon Airways, a struggling airline teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. In her sleek Manhattan penthouse, Angela reviewed the contract's final terms. The deal would secure 8 years of exclusive travel bookings for Horizon, a lifeline to rescue them from financial ruin. Her phone buzzed with a text from her chief operating officer, David Thompson. Board approved. Legal finalized. Ready to sign in Miami at 2 p.m. David was the public face of Pinnacle, often representing Angela in media and negotiations, which kept her identity low profile. Few outside her inner circle knew the true power she wielded. Angela replied with precision. Good. Miami meeting confirmed. Keep United and Delta on standby as backups. She never left anything to chance. In her 12 years as CEO, she'd learned that trust was earned, not assumed. Today's flight on Horizon Airways was her final test. Instead of her company's private jet, she chose a commercial flight to experience Horizon's service firsthand. If they failed to meet her standards, she'd pivot to a competitor without hesitation. At 9:30 a.m., her driver pulled up to JFK Airport's Terminal 3. Angela stepped out, her tailored blazer and confident stride turning heads. She carried a single leather briefcase, her understated elegance a stark contrast to the flashy wealth of some first-class passengers. At the first-class check-in counter, she placed her passport and boarding pass on the counter. The agent, a young woman named Emily, barely looked up, her eyes lingering on Angela's face a moment too long before flicking to the computer. "Is this the right counter, ma'am?" Emily asked, her tone laced with doubt. Angela's expression remained neutral. "I believe so. First class to Miami, seat 1A. Emily examined the boarding pass with exaggerated scrutiny, flipping it over twice and typing slowly. "I'll need to see your ID again," she said after a pause, her voice clipped. Angela complied, handing over her passport, noting the white businessman behind her being waved through with a smile and a nod. The pattern was subtle, but unmistakable. "Is there an issue?" Angela asked, her voice calm but firm. "Just protocol," Emily replied, avoiding eye contact, as she picked up the phone to call a supervisor. The supervisor, a middle-aged man named Greg, arrived and repeated the verification process, as if Angela's documents were inherently suspect. "Miami, correct?" he asked, despite the destination printed clearly on her pass. "Yes," Angela said, her patience unwavering. "Business trip." The word business seemed to catch Greg off guard, but he said nothing, adding a small handwritten mark to her boarding pass. "What's that?" Angela inquired. "Routine security note," Greg said with a tight smile. "Nothing to worry about." Angela nodded, slipping the pass into her bag. She knew better. That mark would follow her, a silent signal of suspicion. As she walked towards security, she sent a quick text to David. "Horizon flagged me at check-in. Monitor closely." This wasn't her first encounter with bias, but it might be Horizon's last chance to prove they deserved her trust. Have you ever faced subtle bias that escalated into something more? Share your thoughts below, and stay tuned for what happens next. Angela Carter's journey through JFK Terminal 3 became a gauntlet of microaggressions, each incident sharpening her resolve. At the TSA checkpoint, the routine security note on her boarding pass triggered immediate scrutiny. While other first-class passengers breezed through the priority lane, a TSA agent named Tom waved Angela aside. "Ma'am, step over here for additional screening," he said, pulling on blue gloves with a bored expression. Angela complied, her face a mask of composure as Tom rifled through her briefcase. He unzipped every compartment, scattering her carefully organized files. A leather-bound notebook, a gift from her late mother, fell to the floor, its spine cracking. "Careful, please," Angela said, her voice steady but edged with steel. "Sorry," Tom muttered, not looking up as he tossed her fountain pen onto the metal table. The pen rolled off, clattering to the ground. Angela retrieved it herself, her fingers brushing the cracked notebook. She sent a quick text to David Thompson. TSA mishandled my belongings. Documenting. As she repacked, she noticed a white woman in a designer coat glide through security without a second glance. The disparity stung, but Angela filed it away, her mind already strategizing. At the gate, Flight 718 was delayed by 30 minutes, the boarding area buzzing with impatient travelers. Angela stood among the first-class passengers, mostly white men in suits, discussing stock portfolios and golf swings. None acknowledged her, their conversations flowing around her like a river parting for a stone. When boarding began, she presented her pass to the gate agent, a woman named Lisa. Lisa scanned the pass, then paused, her eyes flicking from the screen to Angela's face. "First class is boarding," Angela said evenly. "I see that," Lisa replied, her tone implying otherwise. She scanned the pass again, her fingers hesitating before handing it back. "Go ahead." The reluctance was palpable, a silent question of Angela's legitimacy. On board, Angela settled into seat 1A, the spacious cabin half empty. The man in 1B, the same gray-suited passenger from check-in, glanced at her with a scowl, adjusting his posture to claim more space. A new flight attendant, named Jessica, approached. "Ma'am, I need to verify your boarding pass," she said, her smile thin. Angela handed it over, noting this was the third verification. Jessica studied it, her brow furrowing. "There's a discrepancy in our system," she said. "This seat might be double booked." "There's no discrepancy," Angela replied, her voice calm but firm. "Your system scanned my pass at the gate." The man in 1B cleared his throat. "Is there a problem?" he asked Jessica, ignoring Angela. "I paid for a premium experience." Jessica offered him a reassuring nod. "Just clarifying, sir." To Angela, she added, "I'll need to take a photo of your pass for our records." Angela raised an eyebrow. "In 12 years of flying first class, I've never had my boarding pass photographed. Is this Horizon's policy?" "It's to resolve the issue," Jessica said, her tone defensive. "What issue exactly?" Angela pressed, her voice carrying a quiet authority. The cabin grew still, nearby passengers watching. Jessica faltered, then walked away with the pass, not returning it. Angela typed a message to David. "Flight crew escalating. Prepare contingencies." The man in the 1B leaned toward her. "They're just doing their job," he said, his tone patronizing. "First class has a certain vibe. You know how it is." Angela met his gaze. "I know the cost of this seat, this tablet, and my time, which is being wasted. Do you?" He blinked, caught off guard, but before he could respond, Jessica returned with the purser, a man named Brian. "Ma'am," Brian said, his voice clipped, "we have a concern about your seat assignment." "There is no concern," Angela corrected, her composure unshaken. "I'm in my assigned seat, verified multiple times. The only concern is why I'm being questioned repeatedly." The confrontation hung in the air, a spark ready to ignite. Angela knew this was no longer about a seat. It was about her right to exist in this space. Would you stay calm like Angela, or confront the crew directly? Share your thoughts below and see how this escalates next. The first-class cabin of Horizon Airways Flight 718 was a pressure cooker. Every eye trained on Angela Carter in seat 1A. The purser, Brian, stood over her, his face a mask of forced authority. "Ma'am, our system shows an error with your seat assignment," he said, his voice loud enough to carry. "You need to move to economy, seat 28B now." Angela's gaze was steady, her tablet still open on her tray table. "That's odd," she said, her tone measured. "My boarding pass was scanned successfully. My seat confirmed multiple times. I've been here for 45 minutes. Can you show me this error? Brian hesitated, his confidence wavering. It's in our internal system. You don't need to see it. Just gather your belongings. The man in 1B snorted. Just do what they say, he said to Angela, as if she were a child. You're holding everyone up. Angela ignored him, focusing on Brian. If there's a legitimate issue, we can address it after landing in Miami. My ticket is valid, and I'm staying. The cabin was silent, passengers leaning forward, some recording discreetly. A woman across the aisle angled her phone, capturing the exchange. Brian's jaw tightened. This isn't optional, ma'am. Move, or we'll escalate. I'm not moving, Angela said, her voice calm but unyielding. She picked up her phone, openly starting a video recording. FAA regulations allow passengers to document interactions, provided it doesn't interfere with crew duties. I'm documenting this for accuracy. Put that phone away, Jessica, the flight attendant snapped, stepping forward. Recording isn't allowed. That's incorrect, Angela replied. I'm sitting in my assigned seat, causing no disruption. The disruption began when you questioned my right to be here without evidence. The standoff stretched, the air thick with tension. Then the cabin speakers crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We're addressing a minor security concern, and will make an unscheduled stop in Raleigh. Please remain seated with seatbelts fastened. Murmurs erupted. Passengers exchanged glances, connecting the announcement to Angela. She understood instantly. The security concern was her, a pretext to remove her. She sent a text to David Thompson. Flight diverting to Raleigh. Crew fabricating security issue. Prepare for action. The plane landed in Raleigh, taxiing to a remote gate. Through the window, Angela saw security vehicles with flashing lights. The captain's voice returned. We'll be here briefly to resolve our situation. Please stay seated. Two airport security officers, badges reading Paul and Chris, boarded, their heavy footsteps echoing. Brian pointed at Angela. That's her, he said. The officers approached her row. Ma'am, gather your belongings and come with us, Paul said, his tone flat. Why am I being removed? Angela asked, her voice clear for all to hear. There's a reported disturbance, Chris replied vaguely. What disturbance? She pressed. I've been sitting quietly in my assigned seat. We'll discuss it off the plane, Paul said, reaching for her arm. Angela stood, refusing to be dragged, but Paul gripped her elbow tightly, pulling her toward the aisle. Chris followed, his hand on her other arm. Passengers gasped, phones still recording. The man in 1B smirked, muttering, "About time." As they reached the jetway, Paul leaned in, his voice low. First class isn't for everybody, you know. The racist jab landed, but Angela's expression didn't falter. She walked with dignity, her heels steady, despite their grip. At the jetway's end, she spoke, her voice calm but piercing. This will be Horizon Airways' costliest mistake. It wasn't a threat, but a promise, delivered with the certainty of someone who could topple empires. Paul scoffed. Sure, lady, keep talking. The jetway door closed, but the videos didn't stop. Passengers uploaded them, the clips racing across social media, igniting a firestorm. Angela Carter wasn't just leaving the plane. She was rewriting Horizon Airways' fate, and the world was watching. Would you stand your ground like Angela, or try to de-escalate? Share your thoughts below, and see what happens next. In a stark security room at Raleigh-Durham International Airport, Angela Carter sat at a metal table, her leather briefcase beside her. The two security officers, Paul and Chris, stood across from her, their earlier bravado fading. Paul slid a form toward her. You need to write a statement explaining your disruptive behavior. he said, his tone implying the outcome was already decided. Angela didn't touch the form. "I'd like to make a phone call," she said, her voice calm but commanding. Chris laughed. "This isn't a movie, lady. No phone calls." "Actually," Angela replied, her eyes locking onto his, "TSA regulations allow detained passengers in non-criminal matters to communicate with outside parties. Shall I cite the specific code?" The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Paul's smirk faltered. "Who do you need to call so badly?" he asked, his tone mocking. "Big business meeting?" Angela's lips curved slightly, a smile devoid of warmth. "You'll see." After a tense pause, Chris relented, shoving her briefcase toward her. "Fine. Get your phone. Make it quick." Angela retrieved her phone with deliberate care, checking her belongings. Her passport, wallet, and tablet were intact, though the cracked notebook from her mother stung like a fresh wound. She placed the phone on the table, set it to speaker, and dialed. The officers watched, their disdain barely masking curiosity. The call connected after one ring. "Angela?" David Thompson's voice was crisp, tinged with concern. "David, it's me," Angela said, her voice steady but laced with steel. "I've been forcibly removed from Horizon Airways Flight 7018 after repeated discriminatory treatment." A beat of silence, then David's voice hardened. "Are you okay? Do we need legal on this?" "No legal yet," Angela said, her eyes on the officers. "I need you to execute Plan B. Cancel the $4.8 billion contract with Horizon Airways, effective immediately. Move everything to United." Paul's jaw dropped, his face paling. Chris shifted, his hand twitching toward his radio. The number 4.8 billion hung in the air like a thunderclap. David's voice crackled through the speaker. "Angela, that's their lifeline. Their stock will tank." "I'm aware," Angela said, her tone leaving no room for debate. "Do it now. Full press release within the hour. Make it clear why this is happening." Paul leaned forward, his voice shaky. "Wait, what contract?" Angela ignored him, focusing on David. "Include specifics in the release. The check-in scrutiny, the seat challenges, the racist comment from security. I want investors, competitors, and every passenger to know exactly what Horizon did." "Understood," David said, his voice now all business. "The videos are already spreading. Passengers posted them before the plane left Raleigh. Horizon fail is trending nationally." Angela's eyes flicked to the officers, who now looked like men staring into an abyss. "Good," she said. "Have Lisa arrange a car to Raleigh. I'll meet United's team in Miami by afternoon." "She's already on it," David confirmed. "Angela, are you safe?" "I'm fine," she said, her gaze pinning Paul and Chris. "I suspect these gentlemen will be very cooperative now." She ended the call, slipping the phone into her bag with the same poise she'd maintained throughout. The room was silent, the officers frozen. Angela leaned back, crossing her arms. "I suggest you call your supervisors," she said, "if you still have jobs." Chris fumbled for his radio, his hands unsteady. Paul, the one who'd made the racist comment, stared at the table, his earlier arrogance gone. "Who are you?" he whispered, almost to himself. Angela reached into her bag, pulling out a business card. She placed it on the table, its simple design bearing her name, title, and Pinnacle Travel Solutions logo. "The person who was about to save Horizon Airways," she said. "Not anymore." Outside, the videos spread like wildfire, each clip, Angela's calm defiance, the officer's aggression, Paul's racist whisper, fueling outrage. Horizon Airways was about to learn the true cost of their actions, and Angela Carter was just getting started. How would you feel making a call like Angela's? Share your thoughts below, and see The fallout unfold. The fallout from Angela Carter's phone call hit Horizon Airways like a meteor. In New York, the company's sleek headquarters became a war room as executives scrambled to contain the crisis. CEO Michael Reynolds paced the boardroom, his face flushed with disbelief. "What do you mean Pinnacle pulled out?" he shouted, slamming a fist on the mahogany table. "That $4.8 billion deal was our salvation." The chief communications officer, Karen Mitchell, stood at the table's end, her tablet trembling in her hands. "Sir, Pinnacle Travel Solutions issued a press release 20 minutes ago, terminating all negotiations. They're shifting their entire corporate travel program to United Airlines." "That's impossible," Michael roared. "No one pivots a $4.8 billion contract in hours." Karen swallowed hard. They cited systemic discrimination against their CEO, Angela Carter, on Flight 718 this morning. Social media is exploding with videos. Check-in scrutiny, seat disputes, her removal by security. One clip has a racist comment from an officer. Michael's face drained of color. "Angela Carter was on our flight?" The chief operating officer, Stephen Brooks, spun his laptop toward Michael. "You need to see this." The screen played a montage of passenger videos. Angela's calm responses at check-in, the flight crew's aggressive questioning, security dragging her down the aisle, and Paul's whispered slur, "First class isn't for everybody." Each clip was more damning, spreading like wildfire across platforms, with the Horizon fail trending globally. "Our stock is down 55%, the CFO, Laura Evans, interjected, pointing to a wall of screens. "Still dropping. Trading could be halted by noon." "Get her on the phone," Michael barked. "I'll apologize. Offer whatever she wants." "We've tried," Karen said, her voice barely steady. "Her office says she's unavailable. They directed us to their legal team." In Raleigh, Angela stepped into a black SUV waiting at the airport's VIP exit. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. 13 missed calls from Michael Reynolds, each voicemail more desperate. She ignored them, her focus on a news alert. Pinnacle Travel Solutions cancels $4.8 billion Horizon Airways contract. Horizon's stock ticker showed a 62% plunge, with analysts predicting bankruptcy. The SUV sped toward United Airlines headquarters in Miami. Angela allowed herself a single deep breath, the weight of the morning's indignities settling into resolve. She flashed back to a United flight 6 months ago, when she'd traveled incognito in casual clothes. The crew had treated her with warmth and respect, unaware of her identity. That memory had kept United on her shortlist, and now they'd reap the rewards. At United's gleaming Miami office, CEO Robert Hayes greeted Angela personally, flanked by his executive team. "Ms. Carter, we're appalled by what happened," he said, shaking her hand. "Thank you for trusting us." "I value actions over words," Angela replied, her tone measured. "Let's ensure this contract sets a new standard." In United's boardroom, Robert signed the $4.8 billion deal, committing to rigorous anti-discrimination policies and staff training. Angela added her signature, her pen steady. "This isn't just a contract," she said. "It's a statement. By tomorrow, every travel manager will know United prioritizes dignity." Back in New York, Horizon's boardroom was chaos. "We're done," Laura shouted, as stock trading halted at a 70% loss. "Without Pinnacle, we can't service our debt." Michael slumped in his chair. How did no one know who she was? The question exposed his flawed logic. That respect should hinge on status, not humanity. Karen handed him a tablet with Pinnacle's latest press release. "They list everything," she said. "Check-in bias, security's excessive force, the racist comment. They have passenger testimonies, timestamps, officer names." The room fell silent. Horizon wasn't just losing a contract, it was becoming a cautionary tale. That evening, Angela held a press conference at a local HBCU's business school, her voice resonating with students. "This wasn't one bad day," she said. "It was a system that assumed a black woman didn't belong in first class. That system cost Horizon everything, but its real cost is borne by passengers without my platform." The video's press release and Angela's words ignited a national conversation, pushing airlines to confront bias head-on. Horizon's collapse was only the beginning. How would you handle leading a company through a crisis like Horizon's? Share your thoughts below and see how the story concludes. 8 months after the incident on Horizon Airways Flight 718, Angela Carter boarded a United Airlines flight from New York to London. As she approached the first-class check-in counter at JFK, the agent, a young man named Ethan, greeted her warmly. "Good evening, Miss Carter," he said, scanning her boarding pass with a genuine smile. "United is honored to have you with us." There was no scrutiny, no lingering glances, no coded questions about her right to be there. Ethan processed her check-in swiftly, handing back her pass with a nod. "Have a great flight." Angela returned the nod, noting the new signage at the counter. "Every passenger deserves respect. Report concerns to our advocacy team." A QR code linked to a reporting system, a direct result of the contract she'd signed with United. At the security checkpoint, Angela moved through the priority lane without issue. More signs echoed the same message, a visible reminder of the industry shift. She settled into her first-class seat, 2A, observing the cabin crew's interactions. Their service was consistent, warm and professional across all passengers, regardless of race or appearance. The subtle biases Angela had once cataloged were gone, replaced by a deliberate culture of equity. United's staff seemed almost overly attentive, as if determined to prove they'd earned her trust. The changes extended far beyond United. The Horizon Airways debacle, now dubbed the Carter Incident in industry circles, had sent shockwaves through aviation. After losing Pinnacle Travel Solutions' $4.8 billion contract, Horizon's stock plummeted 82% in 48 hours, forcing the company into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Within weeks, a competitor acquired its assets at a fraction of their value, and the Horizon name vanished from the skies. The security officers, Paul and Chris, were fired and blacklisted from aviation jobs. Paul, who'd made the racist comment, was last seen working as a night shift clerk at a gas station in Raleigh, his career a casualty of one recorded sentence. Horizon's CEO, Michael Reynolds, resigned under pressure, his apology at a hastily called press conference falling flat. "We deeply regret the treatment of Ms. Carter," he'd said, his voice strained. "It was a failure of our values." Analysts were merciless, with one calling it a masterclass in corporate self-destruction. The board's statement announcing Michael's exit admitted systemic failures, but it was too late. Horizon became a business school case study, a warning of what happens when bias meets power. The ripple effects were profound. The hashtag, Respect Every Passenger, born from passenger outrage, evolved into a movement. Travelers used it to share stories of mistreatment and praise airlines that prioritize dignity. Industry data showed a 52% drop in discrimination complaints across major carriers in the 8 months following the incident, as airlines rushed to overhaul training and policies. United led the charge, but competitors followed, driven by fear of becoming the next Horizon. Angela didn't dwell on Horizon's demise. Instead, she channeled the spotlight into impact. Pinnacle Travel Solutions launched the Carter Mentorship Program, supporting young Black women in business leadership. Angela personally mentored 5 rising stars each year, sharing lessons from her journey. At a recent event at an HBCU, she spoke to a packed auditorium. "Power isn't just in contracts or titles," she said. "It's in refusing to let others define your worth." What happened on that flight wasn't about me. It was about every person who's been told they don't belong. The students hung on her words, many taking notes, recognizing they were witnessing leadership in action. Angela's story had transcended headlines, becoming a catalyst for change. Major networks replayed the Flight 718 videos, pairing them with her press conference and Horizon's collapse. One commentator noted, "Angela Carter didn't just take down an airline, she redefined what accountability looks like." As her United flight soared over the Atlantic, Angela opened her tablet, reviewing Pinnacle's latest quarterly report. A news alert popped up. United Airlines stock hits record high amid Carter contract success. She closed the alert, her mind turning to her next initiative, a scholarship fund for underrepresented students in aviation management. Angela leaned back, the hum of the plane a quiet backdrop. The indignities of Flight 718 were a distant memory, transformed into a legacy of change. She'd turned a moment of injustice into a movement, proving that one voice, backed by conviction, could shift an industry. Horizon Airways had paid the ultimate price, but Angela's focus was forward, building a world where no one needed to fight for their place. What's one change you'd like to see in how businesses treat people? Share your thoughts below and spread this story to inspire others.